Okay, go.
My doctor recently recommended that I start doing activities to improve my balance to help prevent falling as I get older. Last week, we visited with my family in Pennsylvania, and my brother offered to lend us his paddle boards for the day. So Mike and I took him up on the offer. We drove out to a quiet lake, and we launched the paddle boards. At first, I started sitting on the paddleboard and paddled out to the middle of the cove. And then I carefully began to kneel on the paddleboard. The paddleboard wobbled, but not too badly. And then once I got used to the feel of that, I carefully spread my feet and stood up. The whole paddleboard tipped, but I recovered, much to the amusement, I'm sure, of all the people around us who were watching me flail my arms like a toddler who was just learning how to walk. Once I got comfortable paddling around the calm cove, we ventured further away from the shore, where the water was deeper and the surface was choppy from the wind and from the wakes of small boats.
We paddled over to an island and walked around for a few minutes, and then Barb got back on her paddleboard and paddled out, and I was going to take a couple of pictures. Well, I started to get concerned because she was floating away because of the wind and the current, and it was pushing her away from the direction that we wanted to go. So I yelled out, "Barb, I don't think you realize how fast the wind is pushing you." About that time, she lost her balance and fell in the water. Probably my fault. Anyway, by the time she got back on the board, she had floated even further away from the island and away from where we wanted to go, and then she had to work against the current and the wind to get back.
The Apostle Paul warned people about losing their footing and getting carried away too. In 2 Peter 3:17, he said, "Be on guard so you will not be carried away by the errors of wicked people and lose your own secure footing." Just like the waves and the wind cause me to lose my balance, listening to worldly wisdom can cause us to slip and fall.
On a paddleboard, we bend our knees and we adjust our posture to stay centered on the board. But when it comes to our beliefs, it takes different strategies. In verse 13, Peter tells us how. First, he said, "Make every effort to live peaceful lives that are pure and blameless in his sight." We don't want to be fighting with the world, but we need to uphold God's truths and not compromise. It's no accident that he said we should be pure and blameless in God's sight. This would mean loving our neighbors, but never at the expense of honoring God. In our next vlog, we'll talk more about the strategies Peter mentions to help us keep our balance.
Thanks for trekking with the foxes.